Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Mr. Wizard's Workshop, How to Structure Client Conversations. So a client conversation is a discovery call, or a discovery call is the primary place where you would conduct a client conversation. So this is the third in a recent series of workshops I did on the subject of discovery call. Last week's episode was how to construct a great discovery call offer. And I described and explained the four elements needed for a truly effective call or an offer. And I did that because it won't do you any good to offer a discovery call if no one takes you up on your offer. You put all the effort into developing and promoting a great offer, and now you have someone who wants to take you up on the offer and get on a call with you. So someone is investing their valuable time and attention and is on you to be effective, organize, and lead the conversation. So let me advise you that things can fall apart in a hurry if you don't have a clear idea, a structure for how you want the conversation to flow. So I'm going to give you that structure in this week's episode. So stay tuned. A little housekeeping. So the live attendees are on mute. You can drop any questions or comments you might have along the way into the Q&A box. And at the end of this presentation, I'll check the Q&A and then open up the floor for a lively discussion. So I use a 7-step framework to guide my discovery calls. And it's based on what I learned from Eben Pagan's virtual coach program, what I learned from Christian Mickelson's free sessions that sell program, many practice sessions that I had with practice buddies, both the mistakes I made and the mistakes I saw other people make. And of course, my experience with actual discovery calls with potential clients. So this framework is not a mechanical script that I read like a robot. It's a roadmap that guides me, helps me stay focused, and make the most effective use of the time that we have available for the call. So here are the 7 steps. I'm going to review and discuss each one of them a little further along, but I wanted to go ahead and just put up all 7 of the steps here. So it's build rapport, explain the rules of engagement, gather background information, explore your potential clients' goals and explore their challenges, explore the turnaround, and I'll explain what that is, and then explain how you can help them. So keep in mind that there are transition phrases that you can use which help you to flow smoothly from one step to the next. And this is especially important from step 6, explore the turnaround, to step 7, explain how you could help them. I think the transition from 6 to 7 is where the wheels come off the bus for some people. So step 1, build rapport. So what is rapport? Looked up definition here. It's a close and harmonious relationship in which people or groups concerned understand each other's feelings or ideas and communicate well. So building rapport is gaining trust and connection with a potential client and lowering the natural automatic defense system so that you can actually help them. So it means being genuinely interested and caring about them, learning about them and their situation, being vulnerable and open yourself, and ultimately establishing yourself as a trusted advisor. So a trusted advisor makes personalized recommendations which are in the best interest of their potential client. So this is a foundational step, and you can't skip it or give it short shrift. It's like dating. You wouldn't go up to someone on the street and ask them to join you for a long romantic weekend in Cancun. So the more rapport you build, the easier and more successful your discovery calls are going to be. So how you ask questions is critical, and there's a number of questions that you will need to ask. Key is to be very easygoing, conversational. I use a low and slow tone. Don't get hyper in a rush. And remember to dig deeper by asking why or saying, tell me more. So as I said, you build rapport by showing a genuine interest in people, a natural curiosity about them, and getting them to talk about themselves. So if you don't really like people and you aren't truly interested, I can't help you. I would say if you're a coach or consultant, maybe you're in the wrong line of work. So for everyone else, here's 3 quick bullet points, things to keep in mind. So be fully present. And in conjunction with that, ask open-ended questions and be genuinely interested in the answer. Listen in a very focused manner. And then repeat back what they said using their words to make sure you understand correctly. And I actually write down the answers as I'm going through the conversation so that I don't miss anything. So step 2 is explain call it the rules of engagement. So I give them an outline of what's going to be happening during the call and actually get their permission. And here's the quotes indicate this is some specific phrases you can use, or you can tweak these and make them, if these don't resonate with you, but here's the gist of what's going on in step 2. So for example, before we get started, let me give you a quick overview of what we'll cover today and the format for a call. I'm going to ask you some questions about what you're working on. Then we're going to talk about your goals together, and I'll help you make them as concrete as possible. Is it okay if I ask you some questions so I can understand? So that's starting to move into the whole permission-based engagement with them. It's kind of the wrap-up phrase I usually use to tee up for the next steps. So I say, once I have a really good understanding of all this, I'll be able to make some great recommendations that'll help you overcome your challenges and achieve your goals faster. And if I have additional resources that can help you, I'll let you know. Sound good? Step 3 is where we start gathering the background information, getting to understand your potential client and what's going on with them. So you need to lead and guide this conversation. Listen, as I mentioned, very carefully, and then repeat back what you heard in their words to make sure that you are understanding them correctly. And I've already mentioned, I actually take notes as I go. When I first get started, right after a basic initial rapport building conversation, I actually hold up the clipboard and I have a printed copy of this framework, a blank one, and I actually take notes as I go. And no one's ever had an issue with that or thought it was strange. I actually think it's a good thing because I'm interested enough in them to be taking notes. So whatever their name is, it's good if you remember and use their name. Tell me a little about your current situation. What are you currently working on business-wise? Tell me more about that. How long have you been doing that? What do you really enjoy about it? What do you dislike about it? This isn't a full list of possible questions I can ask, but again, it gives you the flavor, and you'll need to take this basic template and maybe put it in your words. Maybe you wouldn't phrase it exactly like this, but so once you have it in your own words, it flows much more naturally. So step 4 is explore their goals. If you could wave a realistic magic staff, and that works for me because accountability wizard, I have a staff as a prop. People usually laugh when I do that, but whatever works for you. I've seen people say a realistic magic wand, or think about it and whatever resonates best with you. But you see where I'm going here, where I'm asking them, where would you like your business to be in the next 6 months to a year? I want them to start really thinking about it, and I'm trying to kind of open up their vision and get them to really put some thought into it. What do you want to achieve? Tell me more about your business goals. If you had that exactly the way you just described, what would that do for you? What would be the best part of that? Why? How would this impact other areas of your life? I mean, obviously, I'm not just running down through these questions in a rote manner. I'm going with the flow of the conversation. So if after I ask, what do you want to achieve? And they mention, one thing, I might ask a follow-up question about that thing. Okay, well, what does that mean exactly? Or tell me a little bit more about that. Or how's that going to show up? So it's a framework. And then step 5, explore their challenge. If you could wave that magic staff again, what would you avoid or eliminate from your life in the next 6 months or to a year? What do you think could be slowing you down, standing in the way, or stopping you from having, and here you list the goals that they've already told you about in step 4. So you're communicating to them that you're picking up on what they're saying. You're understanding what their goals are. And then it's, what do you think could be slowing you down, standing in the way, or stopping you from avoiding or eliminating all of, and here you give them the things that they just told you about, what would they want to avoid or eliminate, and then put a little bit of effort at least into maybe drilling down a little bit, the problem behind the problem, they call it. What else do you think could be slowing you down, standing in the way, or stopping you? And sometimes I'll iterate through that, and I'll, third time I might say, is there anything else? And just make sure they've kind of cleared the deck and there's nothing else that occurs to them that's really an impediment to their progress. What impact do you think these challenges are having on since I'm a coach for entrepreneurs, it'll be business. But if your niche is something different, then obviously you can tweak this, having on your relationship, having on your health. So what impact are these challenges having in other areas of your life? So here's where I might explore, okay, here's the business thing, but, say if they're really struggling in their business, it's potentially impacting their health, their relationship with their significant others, and then how long have these challenges been going on? Step 6 is the turnaround. So if you could turn around all these challenges around and flow freely towards your goals, what would that do for you? What would be the best part about that? Here, getting them to visualize their better future state. If you eliminated those things from your life that we just talked about, and you are moving towards actually achieving the goals that you told me about, what would that be like? On a scale of 0 to 10, how motivated are you to achieve your goals over the next 6 months? Just as an observation, somebody gives me something below a 7, I'm thinking they're not really that motivated, honestly. Something I usually ask them is, what's the one thing that you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? This is actually the one thing from the book, the one thing which I've incorporated into my work, and I find it very helpful. This by itself, by the way, even if they don't go forward or I choose not to make an offer, if I can help them crystallize that and really focus in on what is the most important thing that they need to be focusing on to advance their business and get them to start taking action or plan on taking action, it's been a very valuable experience for them. I usually ask, are you open to get some coaching on this? Are you willing to invest yourself fully to do what it takes to get the outcome that you want? Again, I'm getting a read on their motivation, how likely it is that I'm actually going to be able to help them. So if I don't think they're a good fit for what I have to offer, I don't go to this step, but I do make sure that if I haven't already specifically given them something that would be a benefit to them, I spend the remainder of the time focusing in on something that is going to be a valuable takeaway for them. If I do think they're a good fit, then I proceed. So usually we'll say something along the lines of, based on what you've told me, I have a program designed specifically to help people overcome the challenges that you're facing. And again, I could repeat their specific challenges and achieve the results that you're trying to achieve. And I'll recapitulate their specific goals. And then again, this is permission based. Would you like to hear a little bit about it? I can't really think of any time anybody has actually said, no, dude, don't tell me. I don't. If they did, I go, okay, great. And then you explain how you're coaching or you're consulting, how your program works, and you relate it back to their goals and challenges. So obviously you need to craft this very specifically to what you do, what you offer, how you offer it, how I tell them about what I do. So I work with clients for 6 months at a time, and we work on these 6 things. I tell them very specifically the things I do when I'm working with my client. And after each one of those, I say, does this make sense? Is this something that would be valuable to you? I ask a question to make sure that they're tracking on what I just said. For example, the last ones, if needed, I coach and advise them on the best technology tools and processes to use for the current state of their business. And I just asked them, are there any specific technology issues that you're having right now? So then you'll need to explain your package and your fee. I offer a 6-month package of weekly 45-minute individualized one-on-one coaching calls. Tell them about that. Includes email support, unlimited 15-minute laser coaching calls if you get stuck on something. I tell them I also record the coaching sessions, upload them to YouTube as private so they can review them later. And you need to, or my strong recommendation is offer a guarantee. For example, I have a risk-free guarantee after 4 weekly calls. If you decide you're not getting the benefit you need or expected, I will refund the full cost of the coaching package that you purchased. And then you tell them what your package costs. I usually say the investment is, and I've got it set up so you can either pay full pop or pay somewhat more if they want to pay in 6 monthly installments. And I just say, is this something you're interested in? Would you like to give it a try? Sometimes you get objections, or people might say, well, I'm not sure. So then you can explore it and figure out what's really going on. And sometimes you end up understanding maybe they truly can't afford it right now. But again, you shouldn't necessarily just give up when you get the first objection. But sometimes I've had it happen. I get at this point, I say, is this something you're interested in? Would you like to give it a try? And they say, yeah. And I say, great. Which of the payment options feels like the best for you? And then I go ahead and sign them up. I have my sign up set up, teed up for a call. And I just say, what credit card are you going to use? And enter their credit card number. Boom. So this is maybe a final thought. So how much value can you truly provide? So say someone doesn't sign up with you, and I'm very confident for the right people, I can really help them a lot. But say someone, for whatever reason, they don't sign up. Was it all just a waste of their time and your time? I don't think it is. I'm making the point, and I covered this last week, but I was thinking it'd be really good to repeat it. Don't underestimate what you can help someone accomplish in even one session. If you do it right, it's something that's rare and valuable. And you've helped someone, you provide a service, and they potentially could refer you to others, or they might come back later. And even if they don't, you've helped them. So the action item for this week will be create, and that means write down. I'd say let's call it a first draft of your discovery call script. And I'm recommending you use this 7-step framework that I just covered. So I can help you get a jump start with a copy of my script. And if you want to, you can use it as a template for your script, and then obviously refine it as necessary to make it your own. So if you'd like a copy of my script, send me an email to support@theaccountabilitywizard.com. If you put a subject line of script, it'll catch my eye, and I'll email you that Word document that has my script. If you prefer to roll your own, great. I do recommend that you use 7 steps as a starting point. And then I also recommend that you hone and refine this first draft by having practice calls. And there's nothing like taking your script out in the world and actually working with it. You can find practice buddies where you can give go through yours, they can pretend to be your ideal client, and then you can swap roles. So if you found this video useful, you know what to do. If you know someone who'd enjoy it, please send them the link. And if you have any questions, please post them. I always respond to posts. As I mentioned, if you do want a copy of my script, send an email to support@theaccountabilitywizard.com. I'll also post the links to how to construct a great discovery call offer, which was last week's episode, and should you offer a free discovery call, which was the week before. And I'll put those in the description of this week's recording. So if you aren't already registered for this workshop and you want to learn how to level up your productivity in weekly bite-sized chunks, then you're invited to register. So each week I feature instantly actionable steps like we did today that you can take to double your productivity, overcome procrastination, and get your shit done. So just hit the link, which I'll put in the description of this week's recording to register. And the floor is now open for questions, answers, and discussions. Let me stop sharing. Hey, Morris.
Hey, Steven, glad to be back
Yeah, glad you
in the
can make
Sunday
it.
workshop.
Yeah. Any questions, discussions? I know you have a discovery call, right? Or you have, I don't know if you have a formal script, but I'm sure you, because you're an organized guy, I'm sure you you have some format that you follow. Is that correct?
That was one of the most difficult things for me to learn, is to be less organized in my discovery calls and focus on being fully present.
Right. I mean, I'm interested because everybody's got their own way of approaching things. So, did you, of those 7 steps, was there anything there that you disagreed with, or you thought, wow, that wouldn't work for me, or I don't like that?
And no, not at all. Actually, the opposite. Step number 2, that's something maybe I do it instinctively, but
Right.
thinking about my most recent calls, I sometimes even skip that step, and I just realized how important it is to explain the rules of engagement,
Right.
and especially the way you did it. I'm gonna go back to the replay and look at the phrases that you used. The way you phrase, when I see the title, "Explain the Rules of Engagement," it sounds kind of strict,
Harsh.
but the examples that you gave,
Right.
yeah, but the examples that you gave were very, very positive, or
Right.
very good. And yeah, it just makes so much sense to, even if it should be obvious, especially to us, it's like obvious. Yeah, you first need to tell me
Right.
about yourself, your goals, your obstacles, so that I can help you. But clarity is everything.
Mhm.
So yeah, that was a very good reminder for me to be conscious of this step, and to make sure that I explain the rules of engagement.
Well, people feel, I think, a lot more comfortable, and there's some people, maybe this is the first time they've gotten on a discovery call. They're going, okay, this sounded interesting. It might be, what's going to really happen here. So if you can just, it's kind of like when you're doing a presentation, tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them how things are going to go, and even at this point, you're starting to get permission, right? So they're engaging with you, and you're asking them, and you're just saying, hey, is it okay if I ask you some questions? If they say no, then it's like, well, okay, dude, why are you actually on this call? But I've never had that happen. So
Yeah. Also, step number 1, building rapport, right? Like, when I get on a call with someone, I'm the type of person who likes to get straight
right,
into it.
let's jump into it.
I'm not big on small talk.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not big on small talk, but I'm curious, what's your experience been? So far, most of the people that I talk to, I make the experience again and again that it's really important to have a couple minutes, maximum 5 minutes of small talk at the beginning, where it's like,
Yeah.
so where are you at? Where are you from?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I even forget to ask people, like, so where are you calling from? Like, I just hear they speak English, so they're either US or Canada, and
Right.
I'm good. Let's go. Let's solve your problems. But so what's your experience with that? Do you also have the impression that, for most people, having this small talk, this kind of moment where you approach each other for the first time, you get to know each other a little bit personally, and then you make the transition to, so how can I help you today, or what can I help you with?
Yes, I think I think you're right. I mean, 5 minutes max, but I think it eases people into it. And it's, if you're truly interested in people, you have a natural curiosity. So there's almost always something of interest that I actually want them to tell me. I mean, sometimes it's just, or a good starting point is, you know, obviously, where are you at? And usually that'll lead to, where are you at? And I tell them, oh, I'm here in the driftless area in Wisconsin, they might have their Zoom room. There might be a picture. I mean, I've had people come on with their pets sitting in their lap, or you could see it in the background. So that's always, since I'm a big dog lover, that's always a natural point of conversation. But yeah, I think it's a good thing to do. I mean, I had like 4 slides on it. But really there's only usually 3 or 4 things I might ask people, and it's just kind of a natural flow. The reason I had so much content is I wanted to emphasize how important it is and how valuable it is to actually establish that rapport. But yeah, I think it's a good thing to do. And I know what you're saying about, okay, you're ready to jump into it, but let's stop and let's do the dance. It's kind of like I'll be a little bit crude, like dogs sniffing each other's butt. You just got to get to know each other.
Stephen, I'm so glad you brought that analogy, because that is exactly the mental image that I had as well, and I didn't know how to say it. It was exactly dogs sniffing each other's butt. But also, I just realized this with you is such a great example, because we've known each other for many months, almost the entire year at this point.
Yep.
And only recently have I found out that you're in Wisconsin, and I told you I went to high school in Wisconsin.
I know, you're right.
And
if someone is all the way to the point where I've told them what I do for them, and I say, are you interested? Do you want to give it a try? And they say yes, then I go ahead and, while I'm on the phone with them, get their credit card number and enter them into the system. I say, great, let me enter you in the system right then. So I was asking, do you do something like that, or do you just send them an invoice if they do sign up?
Oh yeah, so far always invoice.
Mm-hmm.
However, my sales coach, he's been very avid about the way you do it. Mm-hmm. So right now I'm doing all my invoices through PayPal. Mm-hmm. And with PayPal you can't do it for them, so I have to send an invoice. But now I'm switching over to Stripe, where I can process the payment for them. And the way my coach does it is you get a discount if you sign up right then and there. Mm-hmm. And he can process the payment for you, because even for us it has so many advantages. We can just move on with our business and not have this back and forth. Also, entering it right then and there is less administration than having to send the invoice and all these things. Right. And we have the accounting that goes with it. Yeah, that he does it like you do. He recommends that I do that as well. So I'm transitioning to that, but so far I haven't done it. Just if they say yes, then I will send them the invoice through my PayPal business account.
Any other thoughts? Anything else you want to talk about? Or do you want me to send you a copy of my script? I've got that Word document.
Yeah, I would really love to have the Word document. That would be great. Thanks, Stephen.
All right. Well, I'll see you on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll see you Tuesday, Stephen. Great workshop as always. Glad to be here. Bye. Have a nice Sunday.
You too. Bye-bye.